Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of TBR. I'm George Vins, and today we're going to get a guided tour of the regenerative Briscoe. And who better to give us the guided tour than Andrew DeFranza, Executive Director of Harborlight Homes.
There you go.
And the architect, Thaddeus Siemasko, the founding partner of Siemasko and
Burbridge, now known as SV Design.
Yeah. And now you may be wondering why you need an architect to just make a conversion from classrooms to essentially living space, until you find out, if you paid attention to one of our earlier shows, that not only is this a conversion from classrooms to living space, but it's also a major restoring of the original character of the building. And as you mentioned, it's not only that, but you have to meet code, and the fact that simple things like converting the windows from from what they were to 6/6. You also run into the problem that the original windows were all the old-fashioned weights and chains. And some of those things that get to be a bit challenging when they get to be this size for people of my age. So there's that ingredient that's also involved. So what else did we get caught up with?
Well, yeah, thank you, George, first of all. Yes, so the space we're in is the original lobby, and everything that you see here is what was here when the building opened over 100 years ago. This was just complete. This particular space was completely restored as the main entrance to the school building, which becomes the main entrance to our building, and especially to the auditorium, which I think those of us from the city remember as this beautiful auditorium, which has been put back together as well. Challenges included meeting the building code in terms of means of egress and safety, adding sprinklers and those kinds of things that the building didn't have, as well as getting it to be a sustainable building in terms of its energy use, water use, electricity use, all of those kinds of things. And then converting what was a classroom into an apartment for somebody had some challenges meeting the various code requirements for aisle width and so forth. At the same time, there's an overlay it's a tax credit project, and the state and the federal government wants to ensure that this is a true restoration. So things like blackboards and teachers' cloakrooms and library shelving and those kinds of things needed to be restored and included as part of the construction. Yeah. One particular example is the exterior wall was never insulated. Code requires insulation on one hand. The historic folks want it to be faithfully left alone. Yeah. So we had some negotiation that had us taking off the interior wall finishes, insulating, and then basically putting them all back with now a proper amount of insulation. Those are the kinds of things that we ran into in putting the building together.
Great. And when we end up with this, who owns this building now?
Yeah, so this is a partnership with Harborlight Homes and Beacon Communities out of Boston. So there is an LLC that's formed of those two groups, and that is the owner of the new Beverly Village for Living and the Arts, what was Briscoe Middle School and High School before that. So that's the ownership entity.
How does Beacon fit into this?
Yeah, so Beacon was essential. They're great partners for us. They're the majority partner for two reasons. One is they're going to be the operator of this building. We'll help them with some of the resident service planning, but they're the property manager. The other one is this was a very large, very complicated project, and so you needed to have enough economic power, essentially, on your balance sheet to support all the guarantees and the various other backing that was necessary to do a project that was $50 million plus. The other thing that really helped us locally by bringing Beacon involved is they were able to move, believe it or not, quicker than we were, because we had some other projects we were working on, like Anchor Point up the street. So they really helped us get this done sooner than we would have.
So this building is complete now, ready to be populated.
Yeah, people have started moving in already. Yeah.
Yeah, we understand a few people have already moved in.
So there's already people living in.
Yeah.
Super.
Right.
And the goal, George, you may remember, was when this went to, this had a big community process, right? For lots of community discussions. What are we going to do? What are we not going to do? And it included the building, but also the little park out front, or the green space out front, and the soccer field in the back. And so there were a lot of different interests in this building: the historic preservation, the artistic use of the theater, open space preservation, and affordable housing. So when we responded, it was with all those things in mind. So there are 91 apartments, 85 are affordable for seniors, 6 are for artists, live workspace. Those are in the rear in the old shop area. But the city maintains ownership of the front park on the corner and the back soccer field. And so we were able to sort of manage all of those things at one time. But the city RFP and the mayor and the city council and the planning department were critical to making sure that was possible. So it's a big deal. This is our friend Jaissa from from Beacon, and she's the great representative of the partner who helped us get this done.
So let's take a look at some of your work.
This is a typical hallway in the school, which is basically a pentagon shape. As you can see, the original lockers are still remaining. The tile, the heavy-duty tile is still remaining, but the wonderful ceiling heights are largely still in place. The transom windows over the doors have been maintained. All this is part of the historic tax credit, or the historic restoration of the building. At the same time, there's building codes that really would not allow this to happen anymore, so there are certain techniques we had to do in order to create a fire rating between this hallway and the unit. So behind that glass, you can see it's dark, but it basically still has the same effect of having a transom unit. We can take a look now at a typical unit.
Yeah.
Where are you going in this?
I'm happy to walk you through the model unit if
Okay.
you'd like.
And you are?
I'm Jaissa Feliz. I'm the development director from Beacon Communities. We were the developer that oversaw the construction on the project in collaboration.
Were you going to be staying here when it's in operation?
Yes, we are the property manager.
Are you going to be the property manager?
Yes,
Okay.
Beacon Communities has a residential management
Okay.
company, so we will be managing long-term as well. And
So-
we will be working with Harborlight on resident services also.
Good.
Yeah.
So is this a typical unit, or is this a special one in any way?
Yes, this is a typical unit. This is a one-bedroom unit, so most units are one bedroom. So this is pretty reflective of a typical unit. We have in the main building 74 one-bedrooms and 11 studios. And then the former locker room wings in the rear of the building are the 6 live-work units. And so those are a little special, but this is typical of
And what's neat is that the size of a classroom makes a really great one-bedroom unit. And I think the first thing you notice when you come in is the wonderfully large windows and all of the light and the ceiling height that came with the project. And you'll see bits and pieces of the classrooms, like behind you, George, is what was a teacher's cabinet, the supply and cloak cabinet. That got restored. There's a bit of a blackboard here and there where we can keep blackboards and chair rails. At the same time, there's a little bit of a lower ceiling here because there's a brand new heating, cooling, and air conditioning system that was put into the building, as well as sprinklers. And these beautiful maple floors have all been restored. So you have this great idea of a brand new unit, but also you can see the history in every place you look.
Oh, you got a piece of the blackboard over there too, yeah.
Yes, and it will work great for grocery lists for the residents.
Yeah. This is for supper tonight, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Can we take a look at one of the bedroom?
Come
Yeah.
on through. So this area is an open kitchen and living area with the large windows, which really bring a lot of light into the space, as Thad mentioned, and really open up the space.
So
Yes.
the furniture in here is just for decoration.
It's a staged unit.
Staged unit, yeah.
Just to show
So
what it would be like for someone to
They would bring their own furniture.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But you'll notice, George, that it's quiet in here, despite all the traffic on the street. With the new windows properly weather stripped, it's very quiet in here.
Yeah.
And we even had an acoustical engineer look at this when the trains are coming by,
Right.
to make sure that the trains would not bother the residents.
Oh, that's right,
The
yeah,
noise
right
from
on the
river
tracks,
addition
yeah.
is right there. And then things like high quality balances on these large windows, so that a senior who's living here has can pick them up. As you can imagine, they're enormous. You have a screen that pulls up first. The screen comes up, and then the
How do you do that?
I think that's here.
Oh, that comes up first.
That comes up, and then you can demonstrate for us. That's all you get.
Yeah,
So, given the size of the window,
that's still a challenge, yeah.
it's certainly it's certainly a challenge, but overall it's pretty operable. I can assure you, the windows that were here before did not have that
Oh, yeah.
capability. But notice also the dividing, the Muntin bars in the windows have a certain profile, and that was what was here originally from the 20s. We've matched that exactly. The window pattern is matched. These profiles all match what was here originally.
So
that's
this wall
part of
was totally taken apart, insulated, put all back together.
right. So we lost about 3 inches of space in this room, but the baseboard and the trim, all of that went back after we re-insulated it.
Yeah, and I'll add the windows also add to the energy efficiency in the building as well, really providing a tight envelope around the building to keep, the hot air in, and so, that saves, of course, on energy uses, so really contributes to the sustainability factor of the building as well.
By the way, are they double pane or triple pane?
They're double.
Double pane, okay.
And part of this, these units are visitable, meaning that anybody in the community can come in, visit a friend. If you say you have mobility issues, you're in a wheelchair or so forth, there's plenty of room for folks to maneuver, so you can visit your friends. In fact, the whole building was made fully accessible, which is a bit of a trick, because back in 100 years ago, they were a little less concerned. So some threshold and floor heights and so forth had to be adjusted so that someone can come in right from their car, right into the building, and go out through the entire building, visit their friends, and use all of the wonderful
So it's
parts
totally
of it.
ADA accessible.
Completely.
Yeah,
completely,
super,
yeah.
okay, good.
So here's a typical bedroom and the one-bedroom units, which, as I mentioned, comprise the majority of the units.
This would be a queen-size bed?
Queen-size bed,
Yep.
that is correct. So there's just enough room here for a queen-size bed, a couple nightstands, and there are closets. There's a significant amount of storage space in these units, not just because of the restored former teachers' closets and shelves that mentioned earlier, but also we created additional closet space.
Yeah, okay.
And I will also add that every unit has a window in the bedrooms as well. So we made sure that the lighting came in throughout the unit and not just in one room.
Okay. Good. Lead on.
Yeah. You want to see a bathroom?
Yeah. Okay, you got a stand-up shower.
Good wide door to get through. Plenty of maneuverability in here.
Yeah.
If you have some mobility issues, there's plenty of floor space.
Got the grab bars. Yeah.
Grab bars, got the shower, and again, plenty of room, and a little bit of extra cabinet space.
Not the original school.
That's not the original school now.
They didn't have drug space
I
in
suspect
schools.
not. So again, you can see this has got a little bit of a lower ceiling in order to get all those modern utilities and sprinklers, heating, ventilating, air conditioning. But at the wall in the big rooms, we have the full height ceilings and we have the full big windows.
Yeah.
I mean, that bedroom with that great window is just fantastic.
Yeah.
You can't typically get that anywhere except a building like this.
Oh, and yeah, you got Venetian blinds too, yeah. Those-
Yeah. Pretty special ones from that height, for that height.
Yeah.
Special lines, yeah.
Yeah, they have to be custom made because of the size of the windows.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next?
Let's see if we can get into the auditorium. Here's an example, George, of the accessibility question. So down below, the main entrance door is down 3 or 4 steps from this level, this main level. So we were able to put a ramp in where you come in that door and take a left and then come up through this ramp. So this ramp was not here, and we were able to integrate it into the design so folks can come in.
Yeah.
And you can see the chalkboard from the classroom that was there still remains. The foyer to the auditorium now.
Original.
Original, all of this wood paneling was here and was restored. So again, coming into the building from the first vestibule to this area and then into the auditorium is pretty much exactly what you would have found 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And then this is the auditorium, as you can see. So the space is really unchanged other than all of the systems that have gone into it. And the hope is that an organization will come around that will want to operate the theater and would finish off the restoration part of it.
Yeah.
If you can get up and look at the ceiling, it's really kind of interesting. It is remarkably similar to the Boston Symphony Hall ceiling, which was built 3 or 4 years, if I remember correctly, before this building. Our suspicion is the architect must have seen that idea. If you've been to Symphony Hall, you'll recognize those big, deep coffers in the ceiling and the lights from each one. Really amazing space. And then the whole balcony, as you can see, is coming around in the original stage. So this room is really unchanged. It got new windows and it got systems, but really is what my daughters would go to.
So there still needs to be some work done on upgrading the
Yes,
seating.
yeah, that's a whole project that will be continuing the restoration of this theater.
Funded,
Okay.
and there'll be still substantial improvements
Yeah.
in this space. But
Well, this is the best auditorium in town. It would be a terrible shame to lose it.
yeah, that was one of the big drivers. Was people,
Yeah.
people wanted to maintain the green space, keep the theater, keep the building up, and get elderly affordable housing. So we feel really fortunate to have been able to do all those things, and frankly, a lot of that is Thad's brilliance at figuring out how to manage the physicality of that, and his team was a huge deal.
Well, it was a team, but yes, we had these components of an auditorium that needed to have secure access with apartments around it and some place for artists, and then what do you do with the large gym and those kind of spaces, a cafeteria, to make those amenity spaces. So we, team effort, we all worked that out. Keith Construction was the contractor. They were with us from day one. They were great in terms of helping us understand what we could and couldn't do, functionally, economically, and in a timely fashion. They were a really great partner in this.
Yep.
This is the old record safe that they have, fireproof vault for storing student records, which has not been kept, and they would now be exposed for folks to see it.
Oh, the big safe. Yeah.
Yeah, this end of the building was where the offices were, and mostly those became units, but also some of these specialties that just kind of show up. They're kind of nice curiosities in the project.
Still got them. Yeah. So this is where the mail room is.
Right, we have a mailroom. This was the part of the building, the back part that had the cafeteria, and from that you would go down a flight of stairs into the gymnasium and the locker rooms.
Yeah.
Again, because of the floor level difference, we actually installed a ramp so folks can get from this level down to that, so they can use those amenity spaces,
Yeah.
which is this ramp here, of course. So our hope is the residents would come and use these community spaces. This is the gateway into them, and then you'll see, I'll show you shortly what they look like.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
So when I said it was a team effort, this is
sure there are days
Krista
you wonder
Broyles,
about
who's an architect at
Nice.
SV Design, and she was the architect project manager for this whole
is this gonna
project.
work?
Krista made this happen for SV and for Beacon Communities and for Harborlight Homes.
Thanks.
Say
A lot
hello.
of us did. It wasn't just me.
In what was the old gymnasium, you can see the truss work up above is the fitness center. This whole floor was down about 8 to 10 feet, if I recall correctly, and was picked up in order to have the building be accessible. So this floor is now at grade, so folks can come from this space out to the outdoor amenity spaces.
So this, I guess, is the library?
Yeah, you're in the library, and the library was on the second floor rear, and that became apartment units. But what we were able to do was reclaim the shelving. This is the actual shelving from 100 years ago. If you look closely, there's a little bit of
Guys,
the
we
wear
have
and
2
tear on
minutes.
it, in a good way. It kind of has a really neat feel to it. So this obviously will be filled with books. It's the library for the building. And then there's one more space worth looking at.
So this is the party room, huh?
Yeah, this is the community room where you have a lounge area. You have a place to have some community meals, catered kind of things. Place to play some cards. But also you're in the old gymnasium, so you have these really great windows up high, clerestory type windows, filling this whole space with light. The original trusses and all the original boarding and beams is all exposed to see, the same with the brick. The only difference in this room from before, besides it being divided, is that this floor has been raised 6, 7, 8 feet in order to make it accessible to the outside and to the residents. We expect this room will be really popular. This and the library and the fitness center will draw this community together to really enjoy the building fully.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening, and I'm sure you can get a chance to do the building yourself sometime, especially once the auditorium is open and running. So stay tuned, we will do more shows like this. Thank you.